Yo, TragoX is back and welcome to another The Elder Scrolls Online video here on my channel, and today I want to show you guys my new Templar hybrid build, and this build is so much fun to play. It's so incredibly powerful, we have an insane damage output, and I can tell you guys this build is definitely one of my favorite builds overall. It's very strong for solo PvP, but also in group PvP we have some great group support. This build works perfectly there as well. So guys, I would say don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the video description below. I put some gameplay there with this build. Check it out, there's a full gameplay video. And I would say now we start with the build. Let's start this build with the stats, and here I'm gonna show you guys now first the completely unbuffed stats. I'm using 44 points into health, 20 points into stamina. I'm using a wood elf here, but you can also play with a Khajiit, a orc or imperial. I think these three races are also very strong with this build. I'm using the Artaeum Takeaway Brew of Buff Food and the Shadow Mundo Stone. When I buff up with the psychic skill here, I'm going up to 65% critical damage. So when you play with a Khajiit, you would hit the maximum 75% critical damage. So the Khajiit is also a very good race for this build. Now I'm gonna show you guys the fully buffed stats, and if you see them, yeah, you know why this build deals so much damage. We hit over 7k spell damage. We have 100% critical chance because we are using the mechanical acuity set. And we have also a decent amount of stamina recovery, but our sustain mainly comes with the Ancient Guardian monster set. So we don't need that much recovery, we can play full on damage and we get our full sustain with the monster set. Let's take a look onto the gear that I'm using, and first I want to show you the potions that I'm using, because you saw that I have more physical than spell resistance, and the reason for this is I'm going here with health, stamina and physical resistance potions. I really love them. It's 5k extra resistance, and for me this is really worth it. You can also play with 3-stat potions if you want to use your Magicka skills a bit more, but often the Ancient Guardian procs with Magicka and buffs up your full Magicka, and then you don't have really issues with the sustain. So I'm going here with these potions, and now I would say guys, we take a look onto the sets and gear that I'm using. Let's start on the front bar, and here I'm going with 2 axes of the mechanical acuity set, and this set makes it possible that all our hits are critical hits, so axes are perfect for this, 12% more critical damage. With maces for sure you would deal more damage when the set is not active, but we go here for the most burst damage that we can get. With the set active we can nuke down all our opponents very fast, and axes are for this the best option here. I'm going here with the main hand in Nirnhound and the offhand in Sharpened for more penetration. I have also here the shock damage enchantment for the extra 5% damage when the status effect procs, and on the main weapon here I'm going with extra 170 spell damage. Okay, so I'm going with mechanical acuity on the front bar, and on the back bar I'm going with the Rallying Cry restoration stuff here. Rallying Cry is also a very good set. It gives us 300 spell damage and 1650 critical resistance, and this is a must have for this build because I'm using 5 pieces divine on my armor. I'm not using the critical resistance CPs, but with this set active, you guys saw it in the buffed stats, we have 3k critical resistance. So we don't have a problem, and this set fits perfectly into our crit damage build. I'm going here for powered restoration stuff with the enchantment that gives us health, stamina and magicka. So that are the 2 5-piece sets that we are using here in this build, and the monster set that I'm using, I told you already, is the Ancient Guardian monster set, and this monster set fits also perfectly into this build. We play on a high damage build, and this set gives us the sustain that we need. Magicka recovery is perfect for our healing skills on the back bar, stamina recovery for our offensive skills like the jabs and also our dodge rolls. And also the health is so strong. When the health procs, you can't really die. It's such a great amount of healing that you get there. With all the other heals active, it makes you so tanky. Another great bonus that the Ancient Guardian monster set gives you and a lot of people forget this bonus, is that you have a pet by your side, and this pet can tank some damage for you. I often have the situation that people try to gank me, for example, and they put the incap on the Ancient Guardian and not on me. Or with other ultimates, Meteors, Dragon Leaps, or other single target skills. They hit the Ancient Guardian and not you, so you can avoid some damage with the set. So it's great for some extra tankiness, and it gives you sustain. So the Ancient Guardian is for me definitely the best monster set that we can use here in this build. The next set bonus that I'm using is a 1 piece bonus. I'm going here with 1 piece of trainee for more maximum health. And the mythic that I'm using here in this build is the Marking Ring that gives us 200 spell damage and 2300 extra armor. Okay, now I'm gonna show you guys the traits and enchantments that I'm using on the gear. I'm using in this build 5 medium, 1 heavy and 1 light. I'm going with 5 pieces in divine, and all of the pieces are with a 3-stat enchantment. The chest that I'm using is in reinforced for more armor, and I'm going here with 1 piece extra in impen, so I have 3k critical resistance. Okay, these are the enchantments and traits on the armor, and now I'm gonna show you guys the jewelry. And here I'm going with 3 times spell damage enchantment, 2 in infused and 1 with swift for extra movement speed. This is really important. I really love the movement speed. We are very fast, so we can avoid also some extra damage with this build. And for me, this is a must-have. I'm a wood elf and I'm still going with 1 piece swift. So maybe on another race, you can go with 2 pieces swift when you want some extra speed. Okay guys, this is the gear that I'm using here in this build, and I show you guys now slowly all the pieces again. And to answer a question that you guys maybe have now, why we play with spell damage and not with weapon damage, the reason for this is we can get more spell damage than weapon damage as a Templar, because we have the major and the minor buff, so we get extra 30% more spell damage, and with weapon damage we would only get 20% more with the major brutality buff. But with spell damage we have both buffs, the minor and the major one, so we get 30%. So spell damage performs as a Templar better than weapon damage. Okay, now I want to show you guys the champion points that I have equipped here in this build. In the blue CPs, I'm going with the Fighting Finesse that gives us 8% more critical damage and critical healing done. Swift Renewal that gives us 10% more healing done with healing our time skills. Mastered Arms is 6% more damage for our direct damage attacks, and Ironclad gives us 6% damage reduction against direct attacks. In the red CPs, I'm going with Celerity for 10% more movement speed. Relentlessness for the extra 10% damage reduction, the major protection buff after we get stunned. Pain's Refuge that gives us extra 2% damage reduction for every 2 negative effects on us. And Fortified for some extra armor. Okay, these are the CPs that I'm using here in this build, and to the end I want to show you also the skills that I'm using. Let's start on the front bar, and here I'm going with the Camouflaged Hunter, the Binding Javelin, Razor Card Drops, the Purifying Light, and some people asked me under the last video, under the gameplay video, why I'm using in some clips the Purifying Light and in other clips the Power of the Light. First I was testing the Power of the Light because it gives you the extra minor breach buff, extra 3k penetration, but it performs not so good like the Purifying Light. We play on high spell damage, you guys saw it fully buffed, we get over 7k spell damage but only around 5k weapon damage. So the burst that we can deal with the Purifying Light is way higher than with the Power of the Light. And it gives you also a slightly here, so it's also not that bad. So for more burst damage, the Purifying Light is better, and the Power of the Light gives you some extra penetration, but for me, the other morph, the burst damage, is way more important. I'm using here the Biting Jabs that gives you also the extra major sorcery buff and the Dawnbreaker of Smiting. You can replace this ultimate also with the Sweep if you want. The Sweep is not a AoE stun like the Dawnbreaker. This is the reason why I'm going with the Dawnbreaker, because we have an AoE stun with it. It's nice if you're fighting groups or Zergs, you can stun them all, you can burst them all. The Sweep is better for single target, definitely, because then you can use the Binding Javelin to stun the enemy. Then the Sweep is very nice because it's very cheap and deals also some great damage. Okay, on the back bar, I'm going with the Life Giver ultimate, the Restoring Focus, Extended Ritual, Restoring Rigor, Radiating Regeneration, and Race Against Time. Okay guys, these are the skills that I'm using in this build, and this is also the full build that I'm using. If you still have questions to this build, feel free to ask me in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We see us in the next video. Have a nice day. Check out the gameplay video, and bye bye.